Good Shabbos. I'm Cindy Jensen. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees, and I'm the Vice President of Social Action. It's such a pleasure to be here tonight for this special service. I want to say Mazel Tov to Kale Frankel and his family on his becoming a bar mitzvah tomorrow morning. So with the health situation we've all been living through, our COVID committee has been guiding us to make the best decisions possible, keeping the health and integrity of our congregation as their first priority. Classes are meeting virtually until the medical situation approves. The Essential Talmud class that's led by Rabbi Axelrod began this past Wednesday. Registration is open. You can register on the website, lvneartome.org. I highly recommend this. I've taken the class and it's fantastic. You don't have to have a lot of previous experience or knowledge in this. It's wonderful. I think you'll really enjoy it. The Adult B'nai Mitzvah class is beginning on Tuesday, January 18th. This class is facilitated by Pamela Henderson, and there's still time to register to participate and receive materials for this class. And again, you can register on the website, lvneartome.org. We are working diligently to roll out the Havarot program. Are you interested? A few of the potential groups are Adventure Club, B'nai Mitzvah Class 2022-2023, Book Club, Caregivers Caring for Each Other, CNT Preschool Families, Conversion Crew, Dining Club, I like that one, Family Fun, For the Love of Jewish Cooking, the Hiking Club, Mahjong, New Parents, Pickleball Players, Summerlin Members, Vegas Sports Fans, Why Not? Or we can create our own, so I'm thinking sci-fi. Sci-fi or nerd adventures, whichever. I qualify for both. So, and please refer to our website for information to enroll in the classes. I think you can enroll there for the Havarots as well. So we want to thank you to the Franco family for sponsoring tonight's To Go Oneg. We have individually boxed donuts for you to enjoy at home. Good evening.
Thank you, Cindy. You know, it's amazing. We're getting our way through this time of COVID, and Cindy has been a big leader in making sure that the Social Action Committee has been working throughout, and they've been very creative in what they've been doing, and they're still working on doing another mitzvah day, which will occur in the spring, and keeping their committee going. So thank you, Cindy, for being such a great leader. And she mentioned that Havara. You know what? It sounded like a lot of fun.
Sci-fi one?
Well, any of them. Yeah, sci-fi, whatever. But the point is, we're all feeling a little bit isolated, so the thinking behind it is a Havara is a special interest group. So say you want to hike or you want to cook or whatever, 5, 10 families get together, they get to know each other, they develop a circle of trust, so they all know who's got COVID, who doesn't, and then at least they won't feel isolated, and that way they'll continue their sense of connection to each other, have some good friends within the congregation. So I really encourage you to look at the site, sign up for a Chavra so that as we get enough people signed up for one particular group, we can start them as soon as possible. All right, that's enough announcements after announcements. Any other announcements after the announcements?
Mercury is in retrograde. That's about it.
Well, yeah, what does that mean?
It just means things are a little chaotic right now.
But what does that mean, Mercury? Oh, you mean the planet Mercury?
Yeah. It's like a thing on the news this morning.
Okay, she sends me a text. It says, Mercury's in retrograde. I'm thinking,
Jeremy thinks it's fake.
I don't even know what it means. Okay, raise your hand if you know what the cantor is talking about.
Okay, so...
Okay, I'm not talking about right now. I mean all the time. No. Mercury in retrograde? Is that a thing?
Okay, and I actually found an article, a Jewish article about how it all connects, so I'll send it to you later.
Okay, fine.
But it just means that it's a little more difficult to find your calm right now, which means we need Shabbat even more.
Okay, all right. Is Mercury still a planet?
I'm pretty sure.
Is it still a planet? Carmen, is it still a planet?
I'm pretty sure. Why would it not be a planet?
Well, didn't they knock Pluto off of the planet list? Mercury's a planet?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, fine.
There is no religious school. That's another one. There's no religious school this Sunday because we're observing Martin Luther King Jr. Day weekend. And also on Tuesday, there's no Hebrew school. So don't cheer too loud, guys.
That's fine. But I know what
Breaks
they're
are
going to
good.
do. They're going to be at home, and they're going to be studying Hebrew diligently
And quarantining
in quarantine.
so that we
They
don't
have
continue
nothing
to
else
spread.
to do.
Right.
Don't go out. All right.
Don't have too
you
much
got
fun.
it. All right. So we got Eddie on piano. How you doing, Eddie?
Eddie and I decided to match tonight.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we all turn to page 142. What do we have coming up, Eddie? Shalom Aleichem. He called it. Here we go.
Welcome the Shabbat angels. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharit, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharit, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharit, Malachei Elyon Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidchem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We invite up for the candle lighting Kale's sister Atara, Grandma Lori, and grandparents Jan and Eileen Franklin. And Candace, yeah, she wasn't on the list, but yes, of course.
120, 121. If you're watching from home, this is the time to take out your Shabbos candles and join with Cantor and the family in ushering in the Shabbat bride.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue on 124. Let's read together. We enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their true selves. Now we, in our turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness doubt the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak. Let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. Page 138, we join in Lachado D.
We welcome the Shabbat Bride, verses 1, 2, and 9. Yalla Lachado D, yalla likrat kala, yalla Penei Shabbat, Penei Shabbat nekabe, yalla Lachado D, yalla likrat kala, yalla Penei Shabbat, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad. Hishmianu el hamiyuchad. Adonai echad. Ushmo echad, l'shemo tiferet velitila. Yalalai, yalalala l'chadori, yalalala likrat kala, yalalala penei Shabbat, Penei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem Nesucha Sof Maaseh B'machshava Tachila Yailai Yalalala Lechadodi Yalalala Likrat Kala Yalalala Penei Shabbat Penei Shabbat Nikabela. We rise to greet the Shabbat Bride, verse 9. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvsohola toch emunei am segula boi chala. Let me hear your voices. Ya la la, ya la 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 chadodi, ya la 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 likrat kala. Penei Shabbat, Penei Shabbat nekabela. We remain standing for the Baruch Hu, page 146. And you know it's a good luck in Mercury retrograde because if somebody walks in, I added the Mercury retrograde, Michael, he walked in. It was whenever there's a Shabbat Bride. So we have one tonight. It's amazing.
Wait, Michael's the Shabbat Bride?
He walked in and while we were all facing the door.
Okay, Michael.
It's good luck.
You're good luck.
Ya la 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 prepared. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la. Ya 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 la 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 la.
O God, we are as near as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the farthermost star. We yearn to reach you. We seek the light and warmth of your presence. Though we say you are near, we are lonely and alone. So let our desire be so strong that it will tear the veil that keeps you from our sight. Let your light release our darkness and reveal the glory and joy of your presence.
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into the night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows.
Baruch atah Adonai Hamari Varavim.
As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the misery.
Mystery.
Mystery.
Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Kivod Malchuta Le'olam Va'ed. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Please be seated.
Page 154.
Hafta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha v'chayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'vetecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshachbecha uvkumecha ukshartam liot al yadecha v'chayu letotafot beinenecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tiskeru vasitem et gomitzvotai v'ten kiddushim lelochechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher chotet yirchem meretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Amen. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
And as we transition into Michamocha tonight, it is a very special Michamocha. It is the Song of the Sea, Shirat Hayam. It's a very special Shabbat this week. And the reason it's called that is because we actually read the Song of the Sea in the Torah. So tomorrow morning, if you're with us for Kale's Bar Mitzvah, you'll see that we're going to read directly from the part that tells the story of the passing from to freedom. And it looks like waves in the Torah, the way that it's beautifully notated, and it has a very special melody that no other part of the Torah or anywhere else has. And I'm going to demonstrate what it sounds like in case you don't have a chance to hear it tomorrow. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Who is like you, O God, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders? And we know that we find out the answer to Mi Chamocha is Ein Kamocha. There is none like you. And we transition to our prayer, asking for peace as we lie down to sleep tonight, the Hashkivenu, and we call forward two very special honorees, Aunt and Grandma, to lead this Hashkivenu, Cheryl and Lori. We're on page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen, 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 amen.
All right, so thank you very much. If Rabbi and I are ever not here, sometimes we have Lori and Cheryl fill in because they're a dynamic duo, kind of like us. For our Vishamru, which is on the next page, 162, I'd love for some of our religious school kids to come join us since they're here in the congregation tonight. You know who you are. There's only a few of you, so you can't really get out of this right now, Kinley and Kaylin. Darius, you can come help. Julian, I see you. He's trying to be invisible. You don't have that superpower yet. Atara, you want to come help? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Vishamru. It's right there. That is. Yeah, okay. You guys ready? You're just gonna sing along. It's fine. Yeah.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. Let's add a clap. Let's try it again. Okay. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות, somebody got it, את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Last time like you mean it. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. For the record, I meant et ha-Shabbat, clap, but it was fine. I liked all the clapping. It was great. We all rise for the tefillah on page 164. Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. Adonai, שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei Avotinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Chanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Chako, V'zocher chazdei avot v'machot u'mevi ge'ula livnei v'nechem u'lima'an shemo be'achava melech ozera u'mashiach u'magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham v'Yisrael Tzara Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai Mechayecha kol Atah Rav lechoshia Mashiv harua u'marid hagashen Mechalkel chayim bechesed Mechayecha kol berachamim abim Tomech noflim verofech lolim U'matir asurim Umechayem emunato Lishenei afar Michamocha ba'al gevurot U'midom elah Melech memid U'mechayem U'matzmiya Yeshua V'ne'eman atah l'chachayot chakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayecha kol
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We continue in silent prayer through page 180 using the words on the right or the left side of the page or the words within your heart. When you have completed your prayers, please be seated. You're welcome to continue your prayers as needed. As we move into our healing prayer, the Mishaberach, we turn to everyone watching on the live stream and invite you to enter the names of those you are thinking of tonight for healing prayers.
So as we turn to our Mishaberach, it seems everyone here, all of us know those who had a bout of COVID. If you haven't, you're worried that you might get it. So a Mishaberach all around to our loved ones, our friends, and to ourselves. We also think of those who are close to us, those who struggle with matters of the heart, of the mind, addiction too. We think of those who are caregivers, who give of themselves tirelessly to those who are ill. We ask that God watch over all of them and embolden them, give them strength in their time of need. On our Mishaberach list, we have Bessie and Jean-Marc Chaubert, Hai Schulman, Rhoda Schulman, Jaden Bruno, Sari Ray Greenspan, Suzanne Denton Pratt, and Georgia Kokia. Are there others' names? If so, please stand and say their names.
Matthew Oakley, Sheldon Jacobs, John Canoni, Rhonda Lisante, Chris Fainblit, Debbie and Ed Van Dunk, Barbara Bernstein, Rich Krassen, Maureen Plaskov, Marjorie Axelrod, the Earl family, Josie Flores, Cameron Ferinsky, AJ Novelli, Stuart Baker, Mindy Nanny, Neil Hacken, Terry Elgin.
So think of my sister Dina. As we think of all of them, we join together in our Misha Barak prayer.
Misha Barak Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu Mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Right, from a little bit of sadness and hope for healing, we turn to celebration, because that's what life's all about, right? So we celebrate our January birthdays. Is anybody here born in the month of January? It's almost February, which means it's almost my birthday, Shabbat. And online, too. Let us know if it's your birthday. There was a couple of hands raised.
All right, if it's your birthday, come on up.
Kaylin came, she literally, we color coordinated our outfits tonight because she was so excited about birthday Shabbat, so. All right, come on up. Let us know online if you're a January birthday. I know there's Jack Brislin. Let's see, Linda Goldstein.
All right, you have some birthday people. Come on, face me. So, when is your birthday?
January 2nd.
January 2nd. Oh, great. I think you're going to be the first in the line here.
January 6th.
Okay, January 6th.
Tomorrow, January 15th.
They're lined up in order.
It's amazing.
19th.
19th and 21st. This has never happened in the 40 years we've been doing. No, 6 years we've been doing this. All right. So, since you've been having birthdays for a long time, I mean, since you've been born, I want you to think of something, a life lesson that you have learned. Life lesson. And if there's nothing that comes to mind, you can say, I pass. But hopefully you've learned something. Anyone want to go first? Okay, I volunteered Darius.
Just being a better person in general.
Right, to be a better person and become a general. No, in general. Okay, I misunderstood, sorry.
Try to be patient because things don't always turn out the way you expected.
Very good.
I was speaking to my granddaughter earlier tonight, and we were talking about the Princess and the Pea. And I said, what was the moral? And she said, oh, I'm not really sure. And I said, don't eat vegetables in bed.
I don't think anyone's ever came to us with that life lesson.
I never got that as a life lesson
No.
with that story.
No, okay.
Sometimes I think I am the princess and the pea.
All right, Becky.
Just say roll with the changes.
Roll with the changes. You pass? You could have used the vegetable one. That got a lot of laughs. All right. Would everyone please rise? We want to do a special birthday blessing for them.
Kaylin meant to say, always be nice to your sister.
Okay. Oh, that would have been good. Come on a little closer. So as we observe your birthdays, we ask God's blessings upon you, that you will remember not only the gratefulness you have in being born, but the knowledge that you are blessed because you are surrounded by a family and friends who are grateful that you have been born and entered into their lives. And so we ask God's grace upon you that the days that lie ahead will be better and better, and that you will live a life with hopefulness and love, surrounded always by people who care about you and know just what a wonderful person you are. Let us all say, Amen. Let's give them a little Simon Tov Mazel Tov.
All right.
Here we go.
Simon tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simon tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simon tov, mazel tov, simon tov, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael, mazel tov.
Thank you, thank you. Happy birthday. You may be seated. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So this week's Torah portion describes the final battle between God and Pharaoh in order to free the Israelite slaves. Through the power of Hollywood, through the Passover Seder, through our own yearly reading of this passage, this dramatic conclusion to the battle between God and Pharaoh is very vivid in our mind. The Torah portion describes the final plagues, including the very last one, that awful one, which is the death of the firstborn Egyptian child, when finally Pharaoh says, enough already, leave Egypt. The Israelites pack up quickly, and hundreds of thousands of them leave. But Pharaoh's heart is hardened. We know what happens. He chases after them, and on the one hand, there's Pharaoh's army, and on the other is the Red Sea. We're all familiar with that. So tonight I want to touch upon some lessons that are perhaps a little bit less familiar and the impact that these lessons have had on Jewish psyche and our value system. The episode that I described, we've talked about for thousands of years. We don't forget. We got a long memory, right? We got a long memory. And we have incorporated this story into the beloved holiday of Passover, which for many years I have argued has become, in our day and age, for non-Orthodox Jews, the most important Jewish holidays. Now, I'm not as It's not as outrageous as you might think, because in biblical days, the most important holiday was Sukkot. It was called Hehag, the holiday. But in today's day and age, where non-Orthodox Jews don't necessarily celebrate Shabbat the way we would hope on a weekly basis, Passover has taken a lot more importance. Now, you may say, well, it's Hanukkah. But the message of Hanukkah, unfortunately, has become more and more about gift giving. Not the message of the holiday, but that's what the kids love. And then you have the high holidays, more or less a somber one, about personal reflection and introspection, a good, important holiday. But it's Passover that is a teaching holiday. And that's why I think it's so important. It's widely observed, perhaps the most widely observed holiday. It's a family holiday. And as we recount the story and the Seder, it is designed by its very nature to teach life lessons, core values of our people. For example, we have learned what it means to be a stranger in a strange land. We have learned what it means to be the other, to have our civil rights stripped from us, to have all that we thought was secure stolen from us. We have learned the importance of speaking truth to power. And lastly, we have learned the importance of faith. All of that is embodied in Passover. And as you look at the thousands of years since the crossing of the Red Sea, those values have had to reemerge time and time again as our fate has been tossed about. We've been tossed out of one country to another. We have faced discrimination and anti-Semitism. We have had our land stripped from us. We have had our sense of being an other, a part of our identity when we live in countries that don't welcome us. And so those values continue to be reinforced by our own experience to this very day. Now, these values are important to us, but they are also embodied, I think, in the values of Martin Luther King Jr.'s observance this Monday. The two of them coalesce in many ways. And I don't think it's a coincidence, therefore, that Jews had an oversized presence in the involvement of the civil rights movement. For my family, us Axelrods, in particular, we have always been proud of the fact that my father, Rabbi Sidney Axelrod, of blessed memory, was in partnership with Martin Luther King. And he was among many rabbis who made their way to Selma, and they watched hand in hand with Martin Luther King. In addition to that, later on when Dr. King came to the Bay Area, my father had the honor of introducing him before a crowd of 10,000 people and called him a modern-day Moses, setting to set his people free. My dad would talk about this every year at this time, and so I always kind of dedicate a sermon like this to him. And indeed, in my home congregation in Los Altos Hills, tonight they have a lectureship that has continued since his passing in his memory and in his honor, and they have a civil rights leader tonight at their Shabbat service. Well, those were heady times. There were times of upheaval, divisions within our society, and folks like my dad and obviously especially Dr. King risked a lot to change hearts and minds and the laws of our society. And as I mentioned, as Jews, we are intimately acquainted with the effects of bigotry. Our ancestors knew both the continuing indignities of second-class citizenship, the constant fear of xenophobic violence, and our history teaches us that discrimination against any members of a community threatens the security of the entire community. And despite the passage of time, many might not be familiar with the involvement of the reform movement, especially in the civil rights movement. In Washington, D.C., to this very day, there is an institution called the Religious Action Center, which I've visited many times. And the Religious Action Center in Washington, D.C., an arm of the Reform movement, at their conference room, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were drafted in that very conference room. American Jews played a significant role in the founding and funding of some of the most important civil rights organizations, including the NAACP, the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, among others. Interesting. It's been our people who have stepped forward and said, this has happened to us, let it not happen to anyone else. So it's amazing that you can take a value for something that happened so long ago and bring it to you in contemporary life. And therefore, that's one reason why I think Passover is the most important holiday, and the values have inspired us to form a coalition with those who fight to this very day for civil rights. You know, I believe that we are a lot closer to Dr. King's dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character, than we have ever been. A lot of progress has been made. Now, I remember when President Obama was elected and people would point and say, aha, 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 we have come, we have succeeded. But I knew it was going to be a mixed bag, because it also brought out a lot of bigotry and racism, and that unfortunately has continued. We have not eradicated or eliminated it, but at the same time, a lot of things that even 10, 15 years ago, which would have seemed extreme or unheard of, not so anymore. Interracial marriages, people of color who have achieved success in politics and in all kinds of professions has increased. But at the same time, we are aware that, you know, we're lagging behind in so many things, where there are systemic racism that holds us back. We have, for example, when it comes to employment and earning potential, people of color lag behind. Home ownership and education, they lag behind. Incarceration and diversity of sentencing for crimes committed compared to whites lag behind. In short, we still have a ways to go to make that dream come true. You know, as I recall the story of the parting of the Red Sea, I think it is important to call also a powerful midrash about what happened when the Red Sea parted, or rather didn't part. We all know that, you know, Charleston Heston, aka Moses, stands there and raises the staff. But according to the rabbis, they took a closer look at the Torah and they added a little subsection. And what they said is that when Moses raised his mighty staff, nothing happened. Moses didn't know what to do. He stood there frozen. This isn't in the script. God, I raised the staff. Well, what am I missing? And hundreds of thousands of eyeballs are looking at him while he's standing there. And one person makes his way through. His name was Nachshon. Just an unnamed Israelite, a regular guy, nothing special. Well, turned out he was special because he had something that the others didn't, a type of courage. So he starts walking into the Red Sea. With each step, the people watch. What is he doing? Is he going to drown? Is he crazy? What's going on? And finally, the waters reach his nose. And when they reach his nose, that is the moment where he could have drowned, but yet the Red Sea parts. The rabbis tell that story because they say the Red Sea was parted because of courage and because of faith. It was not Moses who walked forward first. It was Nachshon. So, what's the deal? The Israelites were slaves. 1 plague, 2 plague, 10 plagues. Still don't have the faith yet. They get to run away from Pharaoh. Hallelujah. But Pharaoh comes after them. Again, no faith. I mean, if we saw all those miracles, one after another, you would think faith would be pretty strong. But it shows you that it's not miracles that give us faith. It's our outlook. It's our sense of courage. It's our ability to see the world in a different way. You see, a lot of times we say, seeing is believing. But I argue the reverse. Believing is seeing. When we believe, when we're people of faith, we see the world in a different way. Nachshon could imagine those waters parting. No one else could. Nachshon could imagine that freedom was on its way. No one else could. Nachshon could see that things would be better. But as we hear the story of the Israelites, they complained bitterly for 40 years. Are you a Nachshon? Are you an Israelite? Who are you? Who are we? I argue that Dr. King was a Nachshon. He was unafraid to step into those waters knowing that they would somehow part. He was unafraid to go forward when everyone else said, "Don't go, you're gonna get hurt." Yeah, he got hurt, all right. He paid the ultimate price. But not until the movement was established and he had become iconic and he began to change minds, the hearts would come later. He made believers out of the people so that they would become people who could see the world through different eyes and have hope. And it was the power of that hope that allowed them to embrace nonviolence and to stand up and speak truth to power. And it was that sense of faith that allowed us to change as a society. Martin Luther King was not a perfect person. Neither was Moses. We forgive some sins. We forgive imperfections. None of us is perfect. But if there is something about us that excels and inspires and leads and takes society from a place towards righteousness, it's amazing. Dr. King said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." It was as true in the 1960s as it was 3,000 years ago. It is as true today as it was in the 1960s. So let us be a Nachshon. Let us be a Dr. King in our own way. Let us be people who are able to see the world through eyes of faith. And when we look in the mirror, ask ourselves, what can I do? What small part can I do to change the world? If, as Dr. King noted, that the arc of history is very long, but ultimately it will bend towards justice. What do we do to bend that arc and make it closer to today? That is our challenge. Shabbat Shalom.
We shall overcome. We begin to conclude our service with Aleinu on page 586 as we rise. If you're watching on the live stream and you are thinking of someone who has recently passed away or are observing a yortzeit or perhaps just thinking of that person today that's no longer here, please submit those names in the chat at this time. Page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Again, those of you watching from home, if you would like to submit a name for Kaddish or Yortzeit, please do so now. We say Kaddish for Larry Ben Ruth, Harry Reed, Myrna Williams, Morris Steinberg, Terrence Higgins, Frank Heyman, Rose Downs, and Rose Rubin. We recall the Yortzeits of Oscar Alterwitz, John T. Cooper, Jack Craycraft, William Feldman, Edward Frank, Arthur Gellin, Angie Jean Caspro, Hope Wickler Hirsch, Bernice Hirsch, Sybil Jacobson, Leslie Jensen, Seymour Joseph, Selma Katz, Frank Kurtman, William Krassen, Joseph Lafer, Henry Lander, Eva Lee, Diane McInerney, Jerry Miller, William Moonen, Pearl Nyman, Bernard I. Raven, Cheryl Raven, Marvin Roman, Abraham Schwartz, Michael Sinderman, Lee Squire, Sadie Wagrick, Molly Waltman, Adrian Watman, Annette Weinstein, Stacy Wizig, Ruth Wolstein, Meyer Wolf. If there's anyone here who would like to say a name of someone that was not mentioned, please stand to say their name.
R.E.A. Frankel, Gerald Reed, Jose Maria Beristain, Richard Miller, Lorraine Schwartz, Desmond Roman, Marvin Roman, Steve Arlene Lunenfeld-Kolodner, Don Arnold, Lisa Barati Parker.
As we think of others who have touched our hearts, we rise to recite our Kaddish prayer. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah v'yalma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayedach al beit Yisrael v'magalav v'zman kariv v'imru amen Yeheshmei rabbah mevorach le'olam omei maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekusha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tush bechata v'nechemata, dam yiram b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba min Shamayim v'chayim. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. May be seated. All right, we have the Kiddush and Motzi. We have some children here. You want to come up and join the cantor? And Kale, come on up. Come on up. Say if you're under the age of 13, 14, 15, come on up. Part of the Frankel family. Come on up.
For Shamru, it takes them about 20 minutes to get up here. For Challah and Juice, 4 seconds. Wonder why.
Got some more kids. Come on up, it's almost gone. Bill, right here.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam,
Motzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
We want to thank our Shamus Dell for all his help every week. Of course, Eddie Birch on the keys. We want to thank all the staff people that make everything possible here at Near to Meet, and Eddie and Lee for being here tonight. We want to thank the Frankel family for sponsoring the Oneg and for bringing a wonderful bar mitzvah to our bima this week. We also want to invite Lori and Cheryl back up for our closing song. And there's, Haley, she's here to pray tonight. Did I miss anyone? I want to thank our rabbi, of course. So in honor of it being Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea that's read tomorrow, we celebrate not only Moses, not only Nachshon, but also Miriam for raising her timbrel and dancing in celebration.
Let's have a little clapping.
Women dancing with their timbrel, followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. Miriam and her was a big variety. Demonstrations woven and with flame for history. With every strand and every thread
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We'll see you all tomorrow morning. If you want to join Rabbi on Torah study or I don't know if it's Rabbi tomorrow, but Torah study is at 8:45 tomorrow on Zoom, and then we'll be here at 10 for Kale as he becomes a bar mitzvah. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
I believe there are some donut treats. Please take them on your way out, or piece of challah for your enjoyment, a little oneg.